Okay, come on in, sit down, grab your tea, because today we are talking about something that nobody warned me about. Nobody sat me down and explained with any kind of useful detail. Nobody said, hey, by the way, at some point in your late 40s, your body is going to stop being the quiet, mostly cooperative companion. It has been your whole life and is instead going to turn into the most chaotic, unpredictable, wildly opinionated group chat you have ever been accidentally added to, and you will not know how to leave. There is no leave group option. There is no mute for 8 hours. There is no do not disturb. There is just you, lying awake at 2 in the morning, sweating through your sheets, then freezing, then sweating again, while your body sends you notification after notification that you did not ask for and cannot turn off. And the chat has a name. The chat is called perimenopause. And every single organ in your body has been added to it. And every single one of them has an opinion. And none of them are coordinating with each other. And the whole thing is an absolute disaster. And somehow you are still expected to show up to work in the morning looking like a functioning adult human woman. And I want to tell you about the day I finally understood what was actually happening to me. Because for a long time, a genuinely embarrassing amount of time, I thought I was just tired. I thought I was just stressed. I thought I was maybe coming down with something. I thought perhaps I had developed some kind of new and creative anxiety. I thought maybe I needed more iron or more sleep or more magnesium or more of whatever supplement my friend had read about in a magazine. I tried all of it. I bought so many supplements that my kitchen counter started to look like a small pharmaceutical operation. And still, I would be sitting in a perfectly comfortable room at a perfectly reasonable temperature. And suddenly, without any warning whatsoever, my entire body would become a furnace, not a gentle, warm furnace, a full industrial furnace, the kind they use to smelt metal. I'm talking heat radiating off me in waves, my face going the color of a stop sign, sweat appearing from places I did not know could sweat. And I would be sitting there in a meeting or at dinner or in the middle of a conversation with my mother-in-law trying to look completely normal while internally I was on fire. Just quietly, privately on fire. And then, before I had even fully processed the heat, it would just stop. It would just evaporate. And I would be left sitting in what was suddenly a perfectly normal temperature room, feeling absolutely freezing, looking around, wondering if anyone else noticed that I had just briefly become a human radiator and was now shivering. And the answer was always no. Nobody noticed, because women have been managing invisible chaos with a completely straight face since the beginning of recorded history, and we are exceptional at it. We are world class. We deserve awards. And the thing about perimenopause that nobody tells you, and I mean really tells you, not the clinical version, not the leaflet your doctor hands you with the slightly condescending title about the change, the real version is that it is not just the hot flushes, though the hot flushes are plenty. It is everything. It is the whole system deciding to have a conversation with itself that nobody else is invited to. It is your sleep going completely sideways so that you lie there exhausted and yet somehow awake at 3 in the morning, thinking about things you said in 2009. It is your mood changing so fast that you can be absolutely fine. And then suddenly, over something completely minor, something so small it barely qualifies as an event, you are furious, not a little irritated, properly furious. The kind of furious that rises up from somewhere deep and ancient and has a heat to it that feels both completely disproportionate and also somehow entirely justified. And then 20 minutes later, you are absolutely fine again. fine and slightly baffled by what just happened, and your poor family is standing around looking at you like they are trying to read the weather and they cannot find a reliable forecast. And I want to tell you about one specific night, one particular night that I now look back on as the night I finally had to admit to myself what was actually going on, because I had been in denial. I had been doing that thing we do where we acknowledge something intellectually and then continue to behave as though it does not apply to us personally. I knew what perimenopause was. I could have told you the textbook version. I just somehow had not applied that knowledge to the situation currently occurring inside my own body. And on this particular night, I woke up at 2:47 in the morning. I know the exact time because I looked at the clock with the kind of precision that only happens when you are fully, completely, absolutely awake in the middle of the night. I woke up absolutely drenched. And I mean drenched. I mean, I had to change the sheets. I mean, I stood in the bathroom at 2:47 in the morning, peeling off my pajamas and thinking, this is not normal. This has never been normal. Something is either very wrong or very perimenopausal. And then I went back to bed in fresh pajamas and clean sheets, and I lay there for approximately 4 minutes before I was so cold I could not feel my feet, and I reached for the extra blanket at the end of the bed and wrapped myself up completely and lay there in my cocoon thinking, okay, maybe I am dying, maybe this is just what dying feels like, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up again at 4:15 because I was on fire again. And I lay there in the dark, having what I can only describe as a very calm, very quiet breakdown, just me and the ceiling and the slowly dawning realization that this was perimenopause and it had apparently decided to move in and redecorate without asking my permission. And the next morning I called my doctor and I said the words out loud for the first time, I think I'm perimenopausal. And she said, yes, probably. How long has this been going on? And I told her, and there was a pause, and she said, oh, so a while then? And I said, yes. And we had the conversation we should have had considerably earlier. And what I want to say to you about that conversation, about finally naming the thing, is that it mattered more than I expected it to, because there is something about naming the thing that takes a little of its power away. It stops being this mysterious, frightening, confusing collection of symptoms happening to you, and it becomes a thing with a name, a thing that other women have been through, a thing that has a beginning and a middle and yes, an end, a thing you can read about and talk about and make dark jokes about with your friends at 10 o'clock on a Friday night when everyone is comparing notes and laughing so hard that one of you nearly spills her wine. And those conversations, those honest, unfiltered, nobody's performing wellness here conversations, those were the thing that actually helped me the most, more than any supplement, more than any online article with a stock photo of a serene woman in white linen sitting in a sunlit field, looking like she has personally transcended the concept of a hot flush. And I want to talk about the brain fog for a moment, because nobody talks about the brain fog enough. Nobody adequately prepares you for the specific experience of being an intelligent, capable, articulate woman who has been successfully managing complicated things for decades, and then suddenly standing in the middle of a room completely unable to locate the word for the thing you use to open tines, the tin opener. It is called a tin opener, but for a full 30 seconds it was just gone, just completely missing from the available vocabulary, and you stand there describing it. The thing, the metal thing, the spinning thing that goes on the edge of the tin. while your brain quietly checks all its drawers and comes back empty. And this happens with names and words and where you put things and what you walked into a room for and whether you already washed your hair in the shower or whether you just thought about washing it. And it is maddening in a way that is hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it, because from the outside, you look fine, you look like yourself, and on the inside, you are searching through your own mind like you've lost your keys and you cannot remember where you last had them. And what I have learned, what I have slowly and sometimes reluctantly come to understand about this whole wild season is that the most important thing is not to go through it alone, is to stop performing fine when you are not fine, to call your friend and say, I am in the group chat and I cannot find the mute button, and she will laugh and say, me too, and you will feel immediately about 50% better, is to find a doctor who takes you seriously and does not hand you a leaflet and a mild suggestion about cutting back on caffeine as though caffeine is the architect of your hormonal upheaval, is to give yourself genuine, real, non-performative grace for the days when your body is doing too much and your brain is doing too little, and you are holding it all together anyway, because you are the kind of woman who holds it all together, and that is both your superpower and the thing that costs you the most. And I also want to say this because I think it matters. I think it is. The thing underneath all the hot flushes and the brain fog and the 3 a.m. sheet changes, this is your body doing something enormous. This is your body going through a profound biological transition that is as significant as puberty was. And we gave puberty its own books and its own conversations and its own cultural acknowledgement. And somehow perimenopause became the thing we whisper about, the thing we navigate mostly in private, the thing that women have been going through since the beginning of time, and that has been treated as somehow too inconvenient or too unglamorous to discuss openly. And I am done with that. I am completely done with performing composure about something this significant. Your body is not betraying you. Your body is changing, and change is loud and messy and inconvenient. And sometimes it shows up at 2:47 in the morning and soaks your sheets and makes you stand in the bathroom in the dark, wondering what is happening. But it is also yours. This is your body. Your one body, the body that has carried you through everything you have ever survived. And it deserves more than your embarrassment. It deserves your honesty and your attention and your compassion and maybe a very good fan on your side of the bed. And so if you are in the group chat right now, if you have been quietly managing this without saying much about it, if you have been calling it stress or tiredness or just one of those things, I want you to know you are not alone in here, not even slightly. The chat has got a lot of members, and every single one of them is figuring it out as they go. And we are going to figure it out together with tea, with honesty, with absolutely no white linen and no sunlit fields, just real women having real conversations about real things, because that is what this table is for, okay? Go pour yourself another cup. You have absolutely earned it.